And we're now live. The Enormous UFO Supercell Show number 21 for the 12th of November in 2016. Jeff is here with you. Matt is sick tonight, so he's not joining us. Well, me. It's like, oh, there's multiple people. So we wish Matt well and getting better. And hopefully he was celebrated Veterans Day yesterday because he is a veteran. So we salute Matt in being a veteran of several tours to Iraq, I believe. He toured about 5 to 10 years ago. So he's now out of the military right now, but he is a veteran. So we salute Matt and all other veterans yesterday, because I know several people that were in the military. So, but other than that, because the one thing, and I've discussed this about Veterans Day, that we had last year on Veterans Day, we had a tornado outbreak, which was one of the quite a few tornadoes, I think 19 last year. We had nothing like that this year. It was sunny. It's in the 50s. We had a real bad freeze last night. If anything was still alive, if it ain't alive now. I noticed some of my plants that were still somewhat healthy are now dead, because I let them die out because there was no sense. It's now mid-November. It doesn't make sense anymore. But yeah, they've all gotten frost. And so, unfortunately, that's the apparent reason that snow is coming in the near future. So, well, before we get into the meat of the show tonight, let me make sure that I'm going to post this onto my Twitter account. So bear with me a little bit so I can do that. I sound like I'm doing the Mario thing. And I'm looking at Twitter, and nobody's talking about weather. So let me get rid of that. So, yeah, the weather's been fairly quiet. We've had very little precipitation of late. Doesn't look like we're going to get much of anything in the next couple of days. I haven't actually mowed my lawn for almost 2 weeks. I'm going to have to rake my lawn because there's a lot of leaves. The leaves are really dropping off the trees now. I know my neighbor next door, they were picking up the leaves, mainly from my tree, that fell in their yard. And so I'm going to have to do that. I'm pretty much going to do that tomorrow, maybe. Although I'm going to probably be going up to my mom's tomorrow because my niece is over there right now. So it's going to be a good day. It's good. This would be a good weekend for camping, although it's a little bit nippy at night, but especially outside. I was just outside. The super moon is outside. It doesn't really look very super. It just looks like the moon. It's really bright, but it's not very, I don't know. People are thinking the moon is going to be like huge, and it's about that. You can't really tell the difference. Maybe a slight difference, but not much. But so we have the full moon, the full super moon. Ooh, super. It's like a supercell. So the weather lately, not much. It seems like we're in a doldrum period. Nothing much happening. No real big storms occurring anywhere across the country. The South is still dealing with a horrendous drought. Lots of wildfires down there. So, and then of course, I'm skipping the thing that happened, the kerfuffle that happened on Tuesday, aka the election. Whether you're happy or sad about it, we're not going to discuss it because this show is not about elections. So But I will talk about tonight, since Matt's not here, because we weren't going to be talking a whole lot about weather because it's like nothing's happened. But there's been a lot of people that I've seen on Twitter talk about a big storm coming. And several meteorologists have been discussing this, and I'm going to discuss this here on the show tonight because it's something that's going to have to be watched. This could be the first big snow in the plains, and it could also bring the first flakes here in Iowa. And what we're going to discuss, and I'm going to bring it up. First, let me get off the climate model. I don't think you want to. Yes, let's look at climate models because those are real cute. So let me make sure I get off of that first. So hello to anybody that is watching this either now or on VOD. We thank everybody for watching. So let me, oh, please let it be working. Oh, of course, it's wanting to be stupid now. Come on. I guess this is what I get for trying to do a show and do this at the same time. So let me see if this is going to work or not. Okay, GFS is working again. It was being really goofball. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is hopefully it's going to give me the right thing. Okay, here it is. Okay, so let me, this is with the GFS. And hopefully it's showing it, which it is. You can see this is on the GFS model run. And as you can see, and so hopefully I did this right. Yes. You can see this is at midnight on the 18th of November. That's this Friday. And as you can plainly see, this is a fairly big windstorm. You can see a lot of wind, a lot of snow from the Dakotas down into about the Denver area. So prepare yourself. Denver is going to get snow, well, according to models. And if Denver gets snow, prepare for flight delays, especially on United and even on Frontier and Southwest because they have lots of hubs there. But you can see, looks like a low pressure system is developing as I move this back. So let me move this back. You can see the storm really kind of just develops really quickly. It comes out of the Rockies right here, and it kind of reforms over here. That would be this line right here is the 992 millibars. So this is probably going to be about 990, 991. And when you get storms like this, I see these type of systems a lot. You see these a lot in November. You get these storms that get real wound up, and you get these storms that really the pressures are really low. And I remember a storm similar to this with wind, especially because you can see the wind is going to be out of the south, fairly strong at this point. That when I was moving from one apartment to another, to the apartment that I just moved out of a few months ago, I moved out and was moving in at the end of October, and we had a really big windstorm where we had something similar to this. It didn't bring much precipitation. As you can see here, a lot of the precipitation's on the north side. There's nothing on the east side, according to this model. The winds were like 40 miles an hour sustained, gusting over 50. And we had something similar to this. I've seen lots of storms in the past that have done this. We just had the 25th anniversary of the Halloween blizzard of 91. Armistice Day storm in 1940. was somewhat similar to this. The Edmund Fitzgerald storm had similar type tendencies like this, and all of those occurred at this time of the year, late October into the middle of November. And as you can see with this storm, this is going to bring down a lot of this cold air down to the Rockies and warm air up. Now, when I move this forward, and I don't want to look at that. No, we don't want to look at a skew T chart. Not yet, at least. Okay, bring this back to here. Okay. So then if I move this forward, this is at 6 a.m. Friday. See, the low is moved up into about Grand Island. You can see a little bit of precipitation breaking out. Whether that's going to be of significance, like a little bit of rain, drizzle, fog, it's going to depend. See a lot of snow. This is probably going to be not only the first big snow, but it could be the first blizzard. Now, remember, this is model data. Don't call this a forecast yet. It's just something to look at because this is of some significance that some people have seen in models over the last couple of days. But this is somewhat significant, and as you can see, this is at noon on Friday. This is this coming Friday. You have a low pressure center, at least at this point, somewhere near Norfolk, Nebraska. You have snow, rain, probably a little bit of sleet up in here, heavy snow at Pier, up through maybe just west of Aberdeen, up to Grand Forks, Fargo, and back down into North Platte and maybe Scottsbluff, Nebraska. And then right here, you look at this, that looks like thunderstorms. Probably severe weather will be breaking out. So this is probably not only the next big storm system that'll bring snow up here, excuse me, this is also possibly going to be a storm system that's going to bring the next batch of severe weather. Now, it's way too early to determine if the severe weather is going to be down here, if it might be somewhat closer to the low. This is the type of pattern where you're going to have a lot of shear, but almost no instability because the temperatures, you're not going to get highs in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. In November, you'd be talking about global warming, which we're not going to get into that. Most, I would say, from what I've seen when I've been looking at this model the last couple hours, this is the 18Z, so take that for what you will. That 18Z model runs tend to be, that and the 6Z tend to be kind of, well, crap. That the temperatures will be warm enough up here, at least into the low 60s. But this is dependent on if we don't get any precipitation that keeps temperatures down. It doesn't stay cloudy all day. We've had that happen a lot in Iowa. But this is a type, this looks to be similar to several systems where you could get severe weather down here. You could even get some spinning storms up here. They may be low-topped. You may get something of interest, maybe a tornado, I don't know. Given that we've had a lot of off-season or out-of-season tornadoes up here lately, we had the 2 last year right before Christmas, the same day as the Holly Springs, Mississippi tornado. We had the Veterans Day tornado outbreak last year. We had a tornado outbreak in November 11 years ago in 2005. We've had a lot of, we had a big outbreak in October a few years ago. You have to take into consideration that there is the possibility that a system like this, you have to think about the word severe weather, well, the words severe weather or phrase severe weather at this point. But there's a lot of uncertainty. Will there be enough Gulf moisture? Will the instability be high enough? Is there going to be cloudiness around? Is a lot of the precipitation going to be in the form of snow? Is the snow even going to be heavy enough? Is a lot of the precipitation not going to be wrapped up on the north side and it's all going to be transferred to thunderstorms and there's no snow or very little? That's why people are pulling their hair out, especially doing 7-day forecasts, which do go up to this point where you're trying to see, okay, is there going to be heavy snow up here? Is there going to be storms down here that are going to take away the moisture from here? That's what we have to delve into. But as you can see, the storm, this is at 6 o'clock Friday night. You can see the heavy snow still right here, but you can see these these isobars, you can just see them very compact. From right here at Sioux Falls, where the pressure is going to be about 992, to Rapid City, which is right about here at about 1,026. That's roughly 30 to 35 millibar difference across the state of South Dakota. This would easily be winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour. Even if there's only light snow, it's going to be blowing around, probably whiteout conditions. I'd take a fairly good guess. If this was to verify, you're going to have Interstate 90 closed, probably even Interstate 94 closed. It's going to be a real mess, probably several inches of snow. But it's all going to be dependent on whether any of this moisture doesn't get taken away by storms that would likely be from somewhere around the central and eastern parts of Iowa all the way down to somewhere near Houston or Corpus Christi. It is something to watch in the coming days, as you see the low kind of occludes a little bit because it kind of wraps itself up. You see the low here by Saturday. Next Saturday, the low, there's kind of two lows. You see a kind of one here and another here. Most of the snow gets shunted up into Canada, somewhere north and west from like Kenora and northwest of Thunder Bay. A little bit of snowflakes down into northern Iowa. So there could be a little bit of snow with this system, but it's going to be very windy as well if this system were to verify. But it is something that we have to take heed of, that we could get snow next weekend. Now, as a loud truck goes by, we have to be aware that the first snow, we typically get snow flurries in November, early to mid-November. The first inch of snow, roughly around here at least, in the eastern part of Iowa, is roughly around Thanksgiving. I don't see us getting an inch of snow here. Models are not even indicating it. No place in Iowa would even get close to an inch, probably maybe up to a half an inch of snow. Most places it probably will just melt on contact anyway, maybe on signs, on metal objects, on cars that are outside will get a little bit of snow, probably a slushy type snow, but I don't see anything, at least at this time, that would indicate that there's going to be an inch of snow or more here in Iowa. Now, Minnesota, the Dakotas, they will probably get some snow. It's too early to determine if they're going to get the snow the model indicates, which is quite a bit, which I'm not going to show here because I'm not going to go, whoa, look at this. There's going to be a big snow. Warn your friends and whatever. Because all that does is just lead to clickbait, and we're not going to do that. We're just going to show what this model, the GFS, is indicating at this point for next weekend, because it is possibly going to be the first big, interesting storm of the year, of what we'll call the winter season. Even though meteorological winter has not started yet, will not start till December 1st. So it's also probably going to bring us the coldest temperatures we've seen, that we haven't seen since probably February. We're probably going to have lows back down into the teens or 20s, but that's dependent on if we get even a little coating of snow. Because if we keep going into what is known as voodoo crazy talk territory, you can see the temperatures warm back up, and then it kind of, you see another storm kind of looking like the same that might bring snow in about 2 weeks' time to Kansas, but that's way out in crazy land, so don't worry about that. But this is the storm right here for next week, especially Friday and Saturday, that we're going to be keeping our eye on. So that's what we see right now. Outside of that, I mean, the tropics have been dead quiet. I'm kind of thinking the tropical season might be over. I'm looking at NHC right now off camera. There's nothing in the Atlantic. There is a weak disturbance that might do something in the Eastern Pacific, but it's doubtful. So whether or not the hurricane season is over now, We'll just have to wait and see. But at this point, there's nothing much else weather related. But I will say this, because everybody would know I rant a lot. I have seen a lot of deer lately. I saw a buck the other night driving around, scared me to death, and so I didn't want to rant about that, but I was just seeing a lot of deer lately. They seem to come into my yard a lot, or my mom's yard. I don't know why. They seem to just like it. It's their rest area. So, however, that storm next week might be something to watch. Whether we'll be able to do a show or not, I don't know. Because of that, because it's going to be of interest, because we're not sure. I'd have to discuss it with Matt, who's sick right now. Although I might message him after the show to discuss it with him a little bit, as long as he's not throwing up. So we'll figure out something but we might see our first flakes of snow. We might still get another bit of severe weather. Might be the last of the year. We'll have to wait and see. I was looking at climate models. You know how those are. Roll your eyes, cough, cough, cough. And I was looking at the climate models, and it actually shows at the end of the climate model, which is in about 3 weeks. In fact, actually, no, climate models go out a month. So this was in early to mid-December. It actually had an Arctic blast coming in at the end of the model in 30 days' time, where temperatures were going to be crashing to near or below zero. First thing I'm thinking of is, oh my God, because as everybody would know, I have moved into my own house. I bought a house, and I have gas heat now, so I have a gas bill. In fact, I got my gas bill today in the mail, and I made noise because that's the envelope it was in. And the thing I'm thinking of is, oh my God, we're gonna have a cold winter. It's gonna be cold. I'm gonna have a high gas bill, and I'm gonna be mad. When in my apartment I had electric heat, and at least my electric bill was not crazy even with electric heat. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we have not a terribly cold winter. We'll have to wait and see about that. It's up in the air. Other than that, don't see much of anything else. Drought continuing in the south is very, very troubling. A lot of places having wildfires and whatnot down there, up through the south and up into the Carolinas, having a lot of fires and whatnot. Doesn't look like, maybe the storm system that I speak of might change that, because it might bring some rain down there, but they're going to need a lot of rain down there to even get it back to where they can actually be comfortably out of a drought. So we'll see what happens with that. Other than that, don't have anything else to discuss. We'll keep our eye on that storm, as I mentioned, and we'll be back next week, we think, hopefully, depending on what this storm does, to discuss that and anything else that occurs. So for Matt, who's sick at home, this is Jeff signing out for this week, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.